Kenyan friends, or I had a lot of Kenyan friends going through college. After I got divorced, I totally cut off the entire Kenyan community from my life. I had to cut off the Kenyan community to ironically build a business that 70 to 80% whose clientele is Kenyan. How ironic is that? Staying in the village, hanging out with Kenyans, going to a Kenyan church. Everyone around you is Kenyan. Why? Why?
Staying in the village,
Yeah,
hanging
you
around
do that.
Kenyans.
Going to a Kenyan church.
You're just staying in the same circle. So you're doing the same things every weekend with the same people, same conversation, like nothing, your life isn't progressing or moving forward.
This is the One Mic Show.
Jane, since you interact with so many Kenyans through your work and teaching, do you ever feel a bit torn that your closest friends seem to come from other backgrounds? And how do you balance staying connected?
I know a lot of people. I've been in Atlanta for 20, going on to 99 to now is what, 26, 27
Wow,
years?
that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one thing I think I've gotten good at over the years, especially becoming an entrepreneur, and even in life, even when I first came to the US to go to school in 99, was I've always liked having different types of friends. So I have Kenyan friends, or I had a lot of Kenyan friends going through college. After I got divorced, I totally cut off the entire Kenyan community from my life in 2008. Because there's a part of my divorce that the friends in my life, the Kenyan friends in my life, contributed to that.
Wow. Okay.
So
Allah?
I shut it
Okay.
down. I cut off all my friends when I got divorced, except one or two friends. Actually, yeah, except one or two friends and a few friends from college. And I started brand new. When I got into fitness in 2010, I started from scratch building a new community. Obviously, they would not be Kenyans, right? So my closest friends tend to be American. And then I have buckets of Kenyan friends. I have Kenyan friends from college. They're more like sisters, but I'm still in this no new friends era. Like at my age, I'm not trying to have a lot of new friends just to have friends. Yeah. Now, when it comes to my business, this is where I expand rapidly, knowing more people, because I'm always in working with coaches. I'm always in masterminds. I'm always meeting other online entrepreneurs who, again, will not be Kenyan, right? So the base of my friendships in the US are primarily American. Remember what I mentioned before? I love being the smallest fish in a big pond. I like aspiring to those above me because there's so many people aspiring or looking up to me. But I like being in rooms where I'm the one who's at the bottom, because then that gives me room to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting perspective, because you have people who are the opposite. They like being the main person in the room, and whenever you're the main person in the room, that's a problem, because you need to go somewhere where you are at the bottom, or you're average, where you can grow, which is a very good way of looking at it. What would you say are the three things that the top three things from what you see with Kenyans, especially out here in the US? You've been here for a long time. What would you say are the top three things that keep us back from just being able to go over that edge?
Staying in the village, hanging out with Kenyans, going to a Kenyan church. Everyone around you is Kenyan. Why?
Staying in the village,
Yeah,
hanging around Kenyans.
Going to a Kenyan church.
You're just staying in the same circle. So you're doing the same things every weekend with the same people, same conversation. Like nothing, your life isn't progressing or moving forward.
How
When
can
I
you?
say
Yeah.
moving forward, I mean like you're making small steps, but they're small, but there's a part of you that wants big steps.
So how do you get out of that cycle? Like if you're used to doing that, like how do you just one day go and say, "Hi, Americans, I'm here. Can we be friends?
No,
How does that
no.
happen?
Coach.
You first could be find someone who will help you get to where you're going, or start going to other places, like go to a conference by yourself, go to a women's event by yourself, and be friendly, be open, be approachable.
Ali was banned from Kwitu. I don't think he can do that.
We're not talking about Kenyan
Oh,
events.
sorry.
Now,
Yeah.
you have to have the courage to step out of
Your
your
Comfort zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, the prophet must leave the village. You have to leave.
Yeah.
Have to leave. I had to cut off the Kenyan community to ironically build a business that 70 to 80% whose clientele is Kenyan. How ironic is that?
That
But then
is,
again, I think to my advantage, because of that, and because there was no social media until the cutoff point of mine, which was 2010, you really don't hear much about me out in the streets, the Kenyan streets, because I'm just not there.
Okay.
I'm not there.
So get out of the Kenyan streets is one of the secrets.
Go somewhere else, start from scratch. And I'm not saying move cities, but just start making, well, it all starts with what do you want? If you have a clear picture of what your dream is, then start working towards asking for, I wish I had the type of friends who could show me how to ABC. And then start seeking them out, and you'll find them. I have a vision board I created in 2018, and I had a cutout of, remember Friends, the TV show?
Yes.
It was on my vision board, and I put it there, and I said, I want to find friends who love to travel, who are entrepreneurs, who meet up for amazing dinners and lunches. And literally in 10 months, I had started meeting those people. But I was clear on what I wanted, right? So it just all doesn't fall in place. There has to be a bit of intentionality. So yes, I don't have
Always
a
has to be.
wide Kenyan community as far as people who I call my real friends. I have a small, intimate group, a nice small group. I have way more friends who are African American or American, just because over the last 15 years, that's who I've spent most of my time with.
Yeah.
And not to mention the communities I'm in for business masterminds, even down to me retiring. That's a result of me working with an extremely successful wealth coach that I found on Instagram. And I followed her for 2 years. And I remember the first time I spoke to her, I wasn't making enough money for me to be my client. And then I went back to her a year ago, and she's a big part of why I'm now retired, because she's the one who helped me figure out where to invest, what deals are the best, introducing me to private equity, what it takes to invest in those deals that are not open for everybody.
Yes.
Again, consistently, I think you can see the messages. I'm no longer afraid to pay people for them to take me from point A to point B, which a lot of people are mentally not set up that way. They're only comfortable if they're taking a loan or taking money to pay for regular education. Most people don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that is very true.